Have you ever stopped to wonder who the first human to ever get drunk was? The answer isn't about celebration. It's not about the parties you're used to. It's about the near extinction of our entire lineage. Humanity's first sip wasn't a stroke of genius. It was an act of biological desperation. Picture the scene. 10 million years ago, planet Earth is undergoing a global cooling. The great forests are shrinking. Food is vanishing from the canopy. Our ancestor, a primate still worlds away from the modern human, is forced down onto the forest floor, and he is starving. Walking on the damp earth, he finds a fruit. It fell from the tree days ago. It is rotten, and it exudes a strong, strange chemical smell. Ethanol. To you, today, this is a drink. To him, it was a natural radar screaming a single word: calories. Nature had been fermenting fruits with wild yeasts long before the first glass was ever raised. He takes a bite. He feels a funny dizziness. The world suddenly feels light. He should have died there. A drunken primate on the jungle floor is the perfect target for predators. But he survived. And this is the beginning of one of the greatest mysteries of our evolution. Why didn't that primate become prey? The answer is hidden in your DNA right now. A bizarre genetic mutation occurred, the ADH4 gene. This mutation gave our ancestor an enzyme capable of breaking down alcohol 40 times faster than any other animal in the forest. It was a winning ticket in the evolution lottery. If you can't metabolize alcohol quickly, you get slow. You die. If you metabolize it quickly, you gain exclusive access to a calorie source that no other competitor can eat: ripe, fermented fruits. We jump ahead a few million years. Our ancestor descended from the trees, discovered fire, learned to hunt and gather wild grains. The brain evolved. But that radar for alcohol? It was still there, hidden in our genetic code, waiting for the moment when humans would stop searching for alcohol in nature and start making it. We are always taught that humanity abandoned the hunter-gatherer life because of bread, that we invented agriculture to plant wheat, make flour, and feed ourselves safely. Modern archaeology suggests the opposite. The truth? We didn't want bread. We wanted beer. Imagine a tribe in the Middle East about 13,000 years ago. In the region that is now Israel, archaeologists discovered traces of the Natufian people. They were nomads. A Natufian makes a cereal soup, and he forgets the clay bowl in the yard. It rains. The grains sprout. The water heats up under the relentless sun of the savannah. Invisible yeasts in the air dive into that forgotten soup. Days later, the Natufian searches for his bowl and finds it bubbling, filled with a cloudy, foamy liquid. By the logic of survival, that was trash. But 10 million years ago, no one had the luxury of wasting food. That was no longer soup. It was fermented starch, yeast, the first beer in history. And there, our ancestor took the first sip. Advancing about 2,000 years, we go to the oldest religious temple in the world, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Gigantic stone monuments erected by hunter-gatherers 11,000 years ago. There, archaeologists found enormous stone vessels with a capacity of over 150 liters. And guess what was inside? Oxalate residues, the chemical marker of fermentation. Think about the absurdity of this. These humans did not have fixed homes. Life was brutal. But they spent an absurd amount of energy and time harvesting wild grains, not to satisfy hunger immediately, but to create a bubbling, cloudy soup. Why did the ancestral human, accustomed to living freely, decide to bend to the earth and plant seeds? The beer before bread hypothesis, proposed by archaeologist Jonathan Sauer, suggests that the production of beer was the primary driver for plant domestication, with bread being a byproduct or a secondary food source. But why was beer so important that it changed our history? Life in the Paleolithic was a cortisol bath. Our ancestors lived in a constant state of high alert. Distrust was the #1 rule to avoid being killed by a rival tribe or a predator. Gathering hundreds of people in a place like Göbekli Tepe would have been a powder keg of social tension. Beer was the chemical solution. Primitive alcohol broke the ice. It reduced anxiety. It allowed humans who didn't know each other to trust one another. Around the fire, under the influence of ethanol, the constant fear of being devoured by a saber-toothed tiger vanished. For the first time, the tribe didn't just survive. They laughed. They celebrated life. Accidental chemistry united the tribe. Alcohol quickly became the center of tribal rituals. It was the relaxation needed to face the fear of the dark. It was associated with a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, created around the fire. Without the accidental discovery of fermentation, perhaps we would never have tolerated living so cramped in large villages. The anesthesia provided by alcohol has been present throughout virtually all of human evolution, helping to lubricate the very gears of society. And here we arrive at the true logic behind this discovery. We didn't build the modern world solely through fear and raw survival. We needed connections. We needed to trust one another. That first bite of a rotten fruit gave us calories, but the beer shared around the campfire gave us something infinitely greater: empathy. Wildlife demanded that humans be suspicious and tense all the time. Primitive alcohol disarmed that defense. It lowered the shields. It made the exhausted hunter relax. It made rival tribes share the same fire. It helped us build temples, tolerate our neighbors, and found agriculture. Civilization wasn't born just because we learned to plant seeds or raise stone walls. It was born because, for the first time in the history of evolution, we sat together around the fire and celebrated the simple fact of being alive. A biological stumble, a chemical accident, and humanity's first toast. If you seek answers not found in traditional history books, subscribe. The Evolution of Ancestral Life in 2 weekly videos.